Well, the Bible does mention the blind leading the blind, but right today it's going to be the sick talking to the sick. How you doing over there on that side of the glass, Miss Kay? Yeah.
A bit rough around the edges. Not as bad as you though.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I say I'm very. Hey, would you look at that?
Yeah, I'm on.
You just got brighter.
Really?
You have a certain radiance about you. You're glowing. Okay, anyway. No, Dad, no. Come back from the light. Not that glowing. Anyway,
I was going to say, I mean.
You're not that sick, are you?
Do I need to, I can, do the different hues there.
Oh, my goodness. So, yeah, as if you guys saw the post that I made yesterday, instead of a regularly scheduled podcast, we have a little apology note saying, sorry, he's sick. But now I'm also kind of sick, so we're trying to hit the in-between phase where we're both not so sick that we can't get it done. But yeah. But
you're going to hear broadcasting mistakes. Okay, so it's just going to happen. Can't help it. Want to try to help it, and we're going to do our best to be professionals, but.
What was that? Did you just pour out a fizzy drink?
I did.
Okay.
So we got things going on.
So
today we're going to take a look at a thing that we deal with a lot in the church, and sometimes we probably don't even recognize it, and it's this thing called humanism, or dealing with ourselves. And putting ourselves higher than God. And you may say something like, wait a minute, I don't do that. Well, I hope you don't. And but
at least not intentionally.
Not intentionally, and we want to correct it and put it in a way so that you can see it and recognize it in front of you. And then go, oh, that's not how God wants me to be. That's not how the Bible wants me to be.
Right.
And that's where we want to get to, so that we express the kind of humility that God would have us to have in order to grow in Him. Now, we're going to do something really unique.
We need to properly define the word humility.
Well, yeah. Hold on. And so we're going to do something really unique in today's broadcast. You know how we come out and we go, podcast. I said broadcast.
Did you?
I did. So podcast.
That. I'm just thinking that you're wrapping it up in this nice, wonderful little bow about intentionally being like, oh, we've got something special for you. And in reality, it's we've been sick, so. We'll phrase it in the nice, robust way of, this is our little special episode for you, but really we're just winging it.
Actually, well, I mean, you can take it that way, but back in, a couple of days ago, even though I didn't have a voice to do it with,
right.
If you remember, I came to you and I said, this subject matter is so great, and great as in large, vast, that
it's as long as human history.
It is, when we take a look at it, it'll be as long as human history. And it is so huge that I want to take a different approach to it than what we normally do. Normally, in order to expedite the podcast, I put together a thing that is known as framing the question. And I spend time with Kay, and we frame the question, and the whole point of framing the question is it keeps us on track. Even though you may think that we dilly-dally around quite a bit, we have a pretty straightforward.
Sometimes we get off on a rabbit.
We do rabbit holes and so forth, but we have a
Outline.
outlines that here, go this way with it that literally sit in front of us with scripture references and so forth, so that we know where we're going and how we're going to do the episode, and it comes across in an outline. But today what we want to do is, this is so vast that we actually want to spend time and show you how we're going to frame this question. This actually is the most time-consuming part of Kay and I getting together. Now, everything after that, I do. So Kay has an idea of what we're talking about, but I need to stay inside what we're going to talk about. And then when we get ready to go on, I just hand her the outline. She didn't make the outline, but she was heavy in giving the thoughts and how we're going to do the subject matter. And then we work together in doing the subject matter. And after we frame the question, and we stay within that. Today we're going to show you, let you, the listener, be inside to how do we frame the question? What is that argument? How do we work it out between the two of us so that we stay on task? This the first thing that happened when we got in and started asking the question. So that is the most logical thing to ever do. When you get into a study, find the central question and ask it. And you're like, okay, fine. What's the? I don't get it. What's the central question?
Well,
so if you're going to do a study on humanism, the central question is, what is humanism?
and it's been labeled many different things, and the reason why we say it is as old as humanity itself is because it all starts with from the rebellion of
it's Genesis chapter 3.
The sin, from
when
the downfall of man.
When man first sinned,
the fall of man. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's labeled as the fall of man.
But
that is what is recorded in the Bible. What you are looking at is humanism.
Right. And it seems so simple when you put it like that, but it covers such an insurmountable, broad spectrum of everything that it gets very overwhelming, which is why you want to narrow it down. And I mean, it's like the concept of how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. It may take you forever, but one step at a time in the journey. And it's sometimes things like this are, you don't actually have to go in depth with humanism, as long as you have the general formula of putting it up against scripture, and if it fails those few scriptures, then you don't have to think of it anymore, and you don't have to study it much more than that.
There's more than just a few scriptures.
Right. I'm saying...
So humanism, before we define it,
anyway,
because this is one of the things that I found out that started setting me on this path.
If it can't even pass one scripture, then what's the point?
Well, the whole structure of the Bible is to fight humanism. Now, you can say that is to fight sin, and most that's the whole structure of the Bible. Overcome sin, make it to God's holy heaven. Overcome sin, make it to God's holy heaven. Overcoming sin is part of that, is forming a relationship with God so that He is our total source. He is the source of our salvation. He is the source of our happiness. He is the source of our joy. He is the source of our life, our living. He is the source. When we have Him as the source, that means we are in His presence. He is ever present with us. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That's where you are. That's where you live. But there's always the thing about us, satisfying us, wanting to do what we want, wanting what we want so bad that we're willing to fill in the blank, okay?
Yeah.
That thing is in us. That's human nature. We were made with it. You know how I know?
Because you're human too.
Yeah, but I go back to the very beginning where Eve is fighting all of this stuff, and it's before she sinned that the serpent made an appeal to this nature in her. She's still without sin, and he appealed to this nature.
Yeah. On a very interesting note, somebody said that we would just say that, sin and humanism and it's all very to the root of it at all. I heard somebody say this morning about the fact that in these transgender things and a man wanting to be a woman and all of that, that is the very act of rebellion, and that is all that it is rebellion. And I'm like, dude, that's just all sin is rebellion against the known law of God, and choosing to go against it intentionally, to rebel against it. And it's like, you want to just get to it, and that's the same as humanism of, I don't want to do it God's way, I want to do it my way.
There it is.
And that's all it is.
That's all it is.
You mean I have to change this bad habit of mine? Say sleeping in. I really shouldn't stay up late, and I really shouldn't sleep in, but I like to stay up late reading stuff on the internet that I probably shouldn't read, but I'm bored and I want to do it anyway.
We got girls coming at high noon tomorrow. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I'm using...
No sleeping in. We got girls coming at high noon tomorrow.
I'm not saying... I don't like to... I sleep in sometimes, but I don't actually sleep in. I usually sleep in when I go to bed at like 8 or 9. I usually get up super early when I go to bed past midnight, and it's like 6 a.m. And it's like, I guess I'll get up now. I know, it's weird. Anyway, that's besides the point. I'm not using something directly of what I'm doing. And it's, so instead of doing it my way, the way I want to do it, I'll just go read this self-help book that says, you can do it. Why don't you set an alarm? That'll help you. Drink more water and all of that, instead of going to the creator who's, can help me on the spiritual and mental level of absolute miracles and do it for me. But then that means I'd have to give up all these bad habits that I really want to do. And I'll just, go listen to somebody that says, I can do it in my own ability, and then,
Well, and that's going to be where the...
It sounds dumb because it is.
Well, that's going to be where we hit this thing. We're going to hit a wall, because there are things that we should do for ourselves. There's no doubt about that, but it's the balance of it's kind of like putting your faith in it. Do we put our faith in us? Do we put our faith in those things, or do we put our faith in something that is greater?
It's really fun going on Pinterest and Twitter and stuff, because, specifically,
no, it's not.
It is fun. No, because you get all these people who compile lists of things. You know the old adage, believe in yourself? That's one of the oldest humanistic type of sayings ever. If you just believe in yourself, you got this. Like, okay, that's great. I saw one yesterday. Believe in myself? Really? The person who got me into this mess? No thanks. I'm a trust in God. Believe in Him. Nothing else, because don't follow in my footsteps. I run into walls.
A story actually had somebody that was calling up and was talking to my wife Miriam, and one of my earlier pastorates, and she was crying. She was sobbing. Life was falling apart, and Miriam really didn't know what to do with it at that point, and just stuck out the phone and handed it to me. Literally, that's what she did. And I get on the phone, and I can hear this person just deep sobbing, and so forth. And she tells me, I'm assuming probably everything she just got done telling your mom. And I said, this is where God comes in. And she kind of, stopped crying a little bit, and she was listening, and I said, you see, when we get quit trying to do everything ourselves, and we finally start giving it over to God, and we realize that He helps us to change, and when we change our lives the way that He wants us to change, that's how things will get better, instead of relying on ourselves. And she totally stops crying, and she says, "You mean after I've worked so hard to get the control over my life that I have, you want me to just give it to God?"
Even
and I said, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm never going to do that." So go ahead, you were saying.
No, it's just to add on to that. You never, even if you think you have control, you really don't have control over your life.
No.
No. I mean, there's so many people who, I guess that's probably, I can't remember if it's the monks or, there's multiple different types of monks, but which one specifically? I think it is in Buddhism, where it's like, well, we're not actually in control of anything. We're all just a part of the great, I guess it would be their nirvana in life, and basically you just have to reach the level of enlightenment.
Order of the universe.
Yeah, there you go. They have a specific name for it. I can't think of it.
It's the order. You're just a part of the order of the universe.
And to finally reach enlightenment, you must then be reabsorbed into the order of the universe. And it's like, so basically, instead of being a human with a soul, you're just something that's a part of the universe that somehow has a conscience and completely forgoes the whole creation half of that, and you just need to somehow, to be happy, to get out of this life and to surrender yourself and to finally be happy, you need to give complete control of yourself over to the universe. And that just, well, this just sucks, right? To finally reach happiness, you must cease to exist,
or disappear into nothing.
Right. Well, they say that you must be everything and nothing at the same time. That within itself is one of the biggest.
Well,
things
be at one with everything,
and nothingness,
and empty yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've read quite a few webtoons about this, and every time I read it, I'm like, this is so dumb, and it sounds so fancy, and so inspirational, but when you actually get down to the meat and bones of it, there's no meat. It's just bones.
Yeah, there's nothing on them bones.
There's no substance to it.
No.
It's very strange.
No. So anyway, this whole episode is going to be like an episode on how to form the question. That's what we decided to turn it into. We're going to go through talking this through. What is humanism, and how would we do a study on it, and what is the perspective that we want to do the study on. So we'll flash the framing the question, but basically this whole episode will be, how do you put one of those questions together? I already do it before most episodes, so that we very quickly go ahead and get through them. This is probably one of the things that takes the longest. So before we get going, I'm going to ask Kay to tell everybody how to get in touch with us.
Oh, you can get in touch with us here on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can also find us on our Ko-fi page, where you can either support us financially or, if you can support.
Seriously? Yeah.
Look, I don't like asking for money. If you can support us financially, and if you feel led by God to do that, by all means, thank you very much. But if not, then just support us here on YouTube by leaving a like, subscribing if you're not already, and sharing it with your friends. In fact, that means a lot more than that means a lot more than getting money out of somebody.
Yep. Because
money... I was just say people throw around their money for support and for using things, and growing up in the church, a lot of times there have been quite a few people who use their money as a way of influence, and not just in the church, just in general. So it's kind of like money shouldn't matter about it or a part of it at all. So that part's just kind of a meh. I'm not exactly a great salesperson, but
No, I have always hated
Whatever.
it when we were doing band work. Asking for money, dealing with money, negotiating contracts. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. But here's the thing that I do know. If you can help us, yes, it takes
helps.
money to pay bills, and we would like to be able to really crank this up to full-time ministry on the internet. So we are missionaries looking for support, if you will, as we take this on the internet. So
Just imagine, I have it. I have it now in my brain. More than just normal podcasts, we can do challenge videos and quiz show videos on the Bible, and we can do less serious videos. And
I'd love to get back to a little bit of music, and
There's
things
something
like
like
that.
it would be really
So,
nice.
yeah.
But it is what it is, and this is what it is now, and this is what the Lord has for us.
And I would be okay if I didn't go back to subbing at school.
You wouldn't get as sick as
and
you
be
are
around
now.
little 5-year-olds that end up 5-year-olds. No, not 5-year-olds.
Middle
Fifth graders.
schoolers.
Fifth graders that end up getting me sick. It was just for our audience. So, it was a week ago that I was feeling it back in the throat, and then I'd be raw in the throat one day, and then it'd be gone the next day. So I'd have it for about 16, 18 hours, and it hurt so bad, wake me up in the middle of the night. And then it'd be gone. Then the next thing it'd come back, and my soft palate in the back of my throat was just sore, just hurt to swallow. Had that for about 24 hours. Then it was gone for about 24 hours. Then I started with the coughing and all that kind of stuff. So it started like on the Thursday the week before when I was with a bunch of fifth graders. Happened to yesterday be in that same class. And I walked in and I said, yeah, which one of you gave this to me? And just as sweet and as honest, little girl right to my left just raised her hand.
Was it you?
And then she did that. She's like,
Yeah, you can't play cough.
and I said, oh boy. So, yeah, she had missed Monday and Tuesday, being sick. So anyway, here we are, and we are trying to get better. Kay's on halls over there, and I don't know if things don't get a little better by the end of the podcast. I'm going to be asking her to throw me one of those across the room and see what happens. So I didn't ask yet, and I said one, not the whole bag.
I'm not that good of an aim. I'll just chuck it over there. You'll get it eventually.
Yeah, I got it all right in the head. Okay.
I was not looking. Camera shows I wasn't looking. I just threw it over there.
All right. Well, everybody, here we go. Let's work on framing this question. You gonna sneeze again?
No.
Okay.
I
All right.
covered it up. I got it out before they came back on.
Are
It's
you
okay.
sure?
Yeah.
So, just to show you the kind of thing that we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just opened my
Cough drop, because
cough drop.
If we keep saying it, it is is it copyrighted or all rights reserved? I don't know. Look at is it an R or a C on
it's
the
a
next
registered
to it?
trademark,
Oh.
which means it also is involved with a copyright.
They probably have all of them, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
All three. Anyway.
So anyway, I opened this up, and
Sorry.
listen to these. Put your game
Oh my
face
gosh.
on.
Mm.
Push on.
Mm.
Bet on yourself.
Oh gosh, no.
Don't wait to get started. Every one of these is about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up on you.
I actually like yours a lot more than mine.
For what reason?
Don't waste a precious minute. Inspire envy. Power through. Put a little strut in it. You got it in you. Yeah, I know. It's called bacteria.
Yeah. Actually, virus.
Take charge and mean it.
Okay. So each and every one of these is...
I don't know why they need to put all those little inspirational things on the cover. I don't think people
now
are reading them anyway.
Listen to the words you just used. These inspirational things. These inspirational things are about elevating yourself. Mm-hmm. Elevating yourself. That's inspirational. Really. I would think inspirational would be like Jesus loves me. Inspirational would be that behold what manner of love the Father has given unto us that we should be the children of God. That's inspirational. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. If you believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. So I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare the place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, so that where I am, there ye may be also. And I heard a strong angel proclaim with a loud voice, Who was worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And I wept much, for no man was found worthy to open the book, neither to look thereon. Couldn't even look at it. But one of the angels said unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book. And there in the midst of the feast of the beast and the 24 elders stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God, sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book.
I mean, you skipped over the most important one, I think.
Which one's that?
He is risen. He is not here. Why are you...
I didn't skip it. It didn't come into my mind, but go ahead.
Why do you keep staring up? He's going to come back one day, just as he has ascended. He will descend.
So notice that every one of these inspirational things isn't about me at all.
But it instills a better thing of just baseless. Oh, yeah. You have to power through. You have to provide the support for yourself. You have to keep running. You have to do it all. And that just drags you down. Every single one of those is God's got this. And because you're there, you can ride on his coattail and worshiping coattail, not Dale. Coattail all the way, worshiping and in his spirit, and you can be with him. And look, it may not be an easy ride on his coattail. Pretty bumpy, a few rocks along the way, but as long as you hold on tight, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic, because you're not the one having to put in all the work. Mm-hmm. You have to put in a lot of work of holding on, being steadfast.
So, as we're going through this, let's see if Google, because when I started this thing, not one single thing that I looked into gave me a definition of humanism. Not one. Well, they all said humanism is like. Well, that's not a definition. And I looked up 3 or 4 online sources, but I didn't go to an AI source or anything like that. So I was wondering if maybe we could go to Google and just ask Google, do you have a definition?
Well, I have this. I put in humanism, and this was like the 4th or 5th one down on the scale, and it was the humanism learning theory.
Okay, but when we get done with this, let's see if Google will define it. Give a definition.
That was also one of them on there as well.
Okay. Now this is called humanism learning theory, so it's not just humanism. It's a
but,
learning theory. But you get what I'm getting after. Let's get to the heart of it, the simplicity. Humanism is definition. Will it even do that?
Well, yeah.
Because, that was the first thing that I came off with. Okay, so I'm seeing it up here on the screen, and we're on the correct side that everybody's seeing it at the same time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I don't think any of us really want to read, but let's do this. Humanism is a philosophical. Yep.
It's going to be one of those days.
Humanism is a philosophical stance that emphasizes the value, agency, and potential of human beings. Rather than relying on religious dogma or supernatural beliefs, it focuses on using reason, science, and empathy to solve problems. I keep hearing the statement, the fact that science can't prove that God exists. And I think, who are you listening to? But I sent you a thing earlier on atheists believing that something created nothing versus, God created everything. And the atheist makes fun of the people who believe that God created something. God created it. And you said that nothing created something. Very interesting how the very essence of the lack thereof, of literally being nothing, and suddenly, sorry, there was something. Anyway, I'm getting off onto the point. But atheists are usually very humanistic. Totally brought that in.
Because
excuse me.
The essence of humanism. Okay, so let's look at the key principles here. You get reason and science. Truth and knowledge are pursued through the scientific method. So one of the things that I kept seeing over and over was the scientific method. And I hope you realize I'm not against the scientific method.
Scientology is its own entirely humanistic branch of religion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the fact that it's not with humanism, but it's its own thing, so even then they can't agree on their own disrespectfulness towards God. And they just, whatever. Okay. It's ridiculous.
But I believe in science.
Oh, yeah.
I believe in the truth of science, especially if people would just report the truth of science. But I believe in that. What happens is people, instead of being in the pursuit of truth, they are in the pursuit of proving there is no God. Take that off of the table and just present truth. When this happened, we got this result. We put it into an experiment and we could duplicate it over and over and over. Therefore, this is what we believe. Okay, so that's a short end to a scientific theory, or but the first thing that you're supposed to do is state the hypothesis. We believe if we do this and this and this in an experiment, we will always get this and this and this result.
Yeah, a lot of times they skip the whole theorizing part of it.
Not if you do the scientific theory. That's part of writing it.
I'm saying a lot of people do, and they just put it to truth instead of theory.
Well, I'm talking about empirical science.
Actually.
So no, you don't. You're not following me. You're talking about people in general. But if I'm writing...
Yes, I'm talking about people abusing it and not using the appropriate empirical science.
As far as people, when it comes to science...
It's self, yes.
And people go to write a paper,
but the biggest thing
and produce their things to their peers.
But we're talking
for scrutiny,
about humans here.
I'm talking about humans. I'm talking about how the actual flow with me here. I'm talking about the way that it actually works in the scientific field, and this is how it works. You're talking about people in general trying to use something like science, and they don't even bother to actually use it.
And I still think you're putting way too much credit into a lot of those fields, which have been thoroughly corrupted.
They may have been corrupted, but they still do the process because that's how the process works. And that is what is expected. And when you go and open up a paper that does a scientific review, they still do all the same things. There's the abstract, which gives you the hypothesis, and they're all still written, the same way. Where you're talking about in empirical science, where that starts coming in, is where everybody starts giving their opinions and starts throwing away the science. But when a paper is done,
and I'm agreeing with you,
when the paper is done, that is the method that is used all the way through. Now, what's funny is I was taught the scientific method in the 6th grade, and it was pounded and pounded and pounded and pounded inside of me until I have it memorized, because as you can see to this very day, I can rattle it off. Okay. That's interesting. I teach school. I've been in science classes. I have not seen the scientific method ever mentioned once. In the past 10, 12 years that I have been substitute teaching, I have not seen the scientific method mentioned once. Which means you may we teach it in school for the ability to go, okay,
Apparently not.
When I was in school, it was taught, so not just that, hey, everybody here is going to be a scientist, so you need to know how to use it, but rather it was thought it's a good, solid thought process to do a lot of things with in order to work it out to an ending. Use the scientific method. Work through it, state a hypothesis, state what you're going to do the hypothesis, and if you can duplicate what you think that is there, then we're going to say that you have got a theory. If you can't duplicate it, you already blown your own stuff out of the water, okay? But if you can duplicate it, then okay, there you go. And then you make your practices and you put it out, or you do your percentages or whatever it is that you need to do. And so, when you come to the end of it, what is the final step is what is your analysis? And
they say that we share 50% of our DNA with bananas. And that 1 in every 4th person is related to Genghis Khan. Thereby, I have concluded that Genghis Khan was 200% banana. I think that's how political science works.
She showed that to me, and I had to say yes. Today, that's how political. That's how it works. And so the scientific method was given to us more for in school because it was a thought process in order to work things out and to personally analyze. Now, and we've already covered this in one place. And that is that people, when they go to make an analysis, instead of keeping things in their very specific categories, because we've tried to scientifically take a look at this, they start comparing apples to oranges.
They say that somebody posted out there that the Earth is about 4,000 years old. And you can't change my mind. And they're like, oh, well, half-life uranium proves that the Earth is older than 4,000 years old. Because it takes, 2.8 billion years for it to reach a certain state in which we have found it in that state. And because of that, it has to be older than 4,000 years old, thus disproving that it is 4,000 years old.
No, it doesn't prove anything. I can already throw a bunch of questions at that to go in this and that. You're going to have to explain more than that. That is.
And I know. And they had a more detailed explanation, but that's just based off of assumptions of half-life uranium and what they think they know about it.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like...
That's a great way to say it, is about assumptions.
And, of course, every other person on the internet claims to be a expert at certain things because they like to use fancy words and they follow all of these studies, and because of that they like to go out and continue repeating the same rhetoric that these scientific type people like to do. But instead of fully grasping the concept themselves, they're just like, oh, this is so cool and I found this new thing, or oh, this is so cool, because they were calling, and me and you were discussing about it, is because they were using spiders and they made little pneumatic spider claws by using the spiders it's not arteries, but they're what's it called? Their veins. They don't have. It's not called veins and artery system because it's by blood pressure. What is it?
They have an internal blood flow. They don't have veins and arteries.
No, I know. And because of that, so basically they hooked up a spider to a little tiny air pump, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Do you know you can do this with spiders? And they'd pump the air into it, and the legs would come out and in and out and in. And they're like, oh, this is so cool. And they were just repeating what the article said. And I'm like, but that's not entirely correct or accurate. Me and you got into a huge discussion about it and everything, and they're like, yeah, I don't know why they're doing it and everything, and oh, it's so cool, sure, but you're just playing around with a dead spider's body and picking things up with it.
Sure. That's what it sounds like.
Can do. I mean, I like to take the tendons in the deer hoof and,
you've waved at me before. Yes, you have.
It's just a natural thing. Whatever. Anyway, but because she wasn't fully an expert on it herself, and yet she thought it was so cool, she just read off the article and then made her own assumptions through it. And I'm like, that's not entirely correct and accurate. She's just repeating what she heard.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, it's so cool. It's a big step for robotics. Dead spiders, a pneumatic system. Anyway, this is like 8 years ago. Still weird, bizarre.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, yeah. So I'm not going to get into it. Let's move on to something else.
The whole point is the fact that I'm an expert at this, and anybody can be an expert at it, but they're just repeating the same rhetoric of other people who aren't necessarily accurate in their use of the scientific method.
Oh,
anyway.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Correct. That was that whole point.
Correct. So, so now we're talking about things that are of science. And when we start talking about the human personality, the human spirit, the human mind, this is not.
Oh yes.
And this is my field. Okay, this is what I went to school for. Went to go get a degree at University of Cincinnati. Got to see a lot of strange things in psychosomatic studies and what would you call it? Back then we called it not irregular, but
yeah, no, I can't think of what you're thinking of either now.
Abnormal psychology.
Yeah,
that's what it was called, and people that are just way out there and all that kind of stuff. So anyway,
an oddball or two.
An oddball or two.
Or 1,000.
Well, one time we used to group them together, but then we've quit doing that.
I was gonna say we used to group them together, but then they started to rise up against us, so we had to.
No, they didn't rise up against us.
I know.
But anyway, I mean, it is a great study, but there is nothing when it comes to the human personality. There is nothing that is 100%. There are lots of things that a lot of people will do that are similar, that if you put the same thing out there, you'll get the same behavior, reaction, and so forth. A lot of people.
They're called behavioral patterns.
Sometimes it's a high percentage, but you want to know why it's never 100%?
Because out of 8 billion people, not every single one of them is going to be the exact same.
Or out
9
of
billion, sorry.
Or out of 100 people, not everybody's going to be the same. You're going to get somebody that's going to give you a different reaction because they're an individual. They can make an individual choice, and you will never know what's going on inside of them. And so you don't know how they're processing. You don't know what it is, their background that has shaped them, their personal desires that shape them, their genetics that end up shaping them. And sometimes it's just the way they process that ends up shaping them. There's so many factors. Most of them will all come down to the same because culturally we're a lot the same. But you're going to get those ones that will not respond the same or give you the same end because they're different.
And sometimes they rebel just to be different on purpose. Like, I don't
want to do
same.
what everybody else does.
Yeah, sometimes for a good reason. And then there's truly the people who just don't think about it and do it weirdly.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and I've seen a lot of these different studies and so forth. But in Genesis 1:1, no, in Genesis 3, we get the story of Adam and Eve and what they were told not to do. Now, out of the most part, we all know that it is the general nature of children. If you tell them to stay away from something, they kind of go, where is it? You want me to stay away from something? Where is it? I'm curious now. Why don't you want me to stay away from it?
I mean, if it's in plain sight and you say something and they're drawn to, and this depends on the kids in general, because I know I would have, for the 3 girls, I would have a very specific thing to say to them, to each of them, about not touching it. If it was the boys or Jane or Oliver and any of them, every single one of them, I would have a different way of being like, now don't do that. For Jane and Oliver and all of that, I really wouldn't have to mention anything, because if it doesn't catch their attention, they're not going to give 2 hoots about it. The girls, if it catches their attention, I would look them dead in the eyes and go, don't you dare. Now for the boys, it's, we're walking away because you're not going to have the temptation, and I'm not going to put the temptation in front of you, and I've seen that it's caught you. So I'm going to physically remove you. In every single one of those situations, there's a different action that I'm going to take to either help them or deal with them with it. And all of them are very different in the first place.
Okay.
So
let's take a look at what God the Father did as he put the tree in the center of the garden. And when he put the tree in the center of the garden, he said, you can eat of any fruit that you want to eat from. But that one. And I would like for you not to even, don't even go near it. Okay? And so that's what he left him with. So just think, on the day that Eve was tempted, she was close enough to the tree to hear the serpent speak from it. Now here's another thing that we need to analyze. The serpent knew. Did he hear God tell them? But he knew they were not supposed to eat of that tree. So what tree did he put himself in so that when he spoke to Eve, she would come even closer? The forbidden one.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just called the forbidden one.
So you got these 2 different things, and she even in the temptation repeated what Father said he did not want her to do. Oh no, we've been given dominion over all the things that are in the garden except for this tree, and of this tree we have been forbidden to eat.
Yeah.
For God said that the day that we would eat it, we would die.
But did he really?
Yeah. So all of a sudden there was that little interjection, and then he ends up lying to Adam and Eve. And did he really say that?
Yes.
Okay, so first thing, he interjects doubt into them, into their minds. And then the second thing that he does with that is that but I got to finish out the rest of the statement. For God knows that the day that you eat of it, that you will become like him. Okay, knowing good from evil. And so he puts that into their mind. He knows you will become like him. he knows, you will become like him.
Like okay, and the question is and it was just in one aspect that they would become more like him, which I'm sure they would have had they continued walking with him. But
they were already like him because they're his children. They're created in his image.
Well, he said like him, and that you will know the discernment between good and evil. That's just one small facet of being more like
they were
the
created.
Father.
They were created pure and had no knowledge of evil.
Right, and so the temptation of being like God, but him twisting it just enough that
there you go. That's
just
significant.
Enough that you'll become like him and you'll have knowledge like him. Oh, knowledge, yeah, but only the knowledge of what's good and evil. You'll be nothing more like him other than the fact that you'll know a little bit more. You'll know
something. what's good and what's evil.
Right.
And so in the thick of that, knowing the difference between what's good and what's evil.
And also notice it was on the tail end of that statement. It wasn't the beginning of the statement.
No,
like,
it was
no.
not.
It was just kind of like an afterthought
Yeah.
that most of the time people forget after the whole encapsulating. I'll be more like him. Oh, yeah, but only in the small aspect of knowledge of good and evil. Yeah, I didn't hear that second half. I'll just be more like him. That's what you'll probably end up focusing more on.
You know, and teenagers that want to be like dad. You know, teenage girls that want to have the authority of mom and tell, mom gets to go do this because she's an adult.
Yeah, do you want to have all the responsibilities of mom as well?
That never enters into the mind. They just think about getting into a car, having a driver's license, going where you want to go, shopping, buy what you want to buy, a credit card, get some of the big ticket items, and then not necessarily all the other things that go along with it. Mom's married, I'm not, so I can wear those frilly things and whatever. I like having the boys look at me and without one idea of what that really means.
I was also going to say it's also the innocence of being sheltered from the reality of it all, the harsh reality. You just get to see the perks.
No experience. Yeah. You're right. No experience, right?
The knowledge versus the wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And I ever heard that a lot more so recently. It's, I have the knowledge for it, but you don't have the wisdom gained through the experience and understanding of putting your knowledge into effect.
So in the midst of this, the big phrase is, did God really say that? Okay. So that one, when that gets put and stuck into the mind and the heart of man, and you have the fall, that has become a centralized theme throughout the Bible and throughout our modern culture and lifetime, with one of the problems that people have in following God. It's like, well, I want to be that good person. Well, did God really say you had to do this to be that good person? Well, I don't, I don't want to have to follow, because we all know Christians don't have fun. And man, I want to have some fun. Well, did God really say, that you couldn't have fun? Did God really say that you couldn't drink? Did God really say? I mean, what's wrong with playing around with a little marijuana? What's wrong with it? I mean, people do it. It's all natural. It's not like popping pills, it's all that synthetic stuff.
Let's put it on a different scenario.
Okay, go ahead.
I've actually had the part of this conversation with somebody, and it is, does God really expect me to do good works? Does he expect me to get out there and...
Oh, you're pulling it into church ideas now. Okay, good, because I'm thinking this is where I'd like to go, but keep going.
I've actually had this conversation with somebody.
Yeah, keep going.
And they're like, okay, Is it really required of me to do good works and to have me go out and help the poor, do things with the orphans and stuff? And I looked at them and I said, if you're truly following God, What you need is the fruits of the Spirit. And if you naturally bear the fruits of the Spirit, then you will go into those and you will naturally do those good works. Because if you follow them, then He'll naturally lead you to do what you want to do. And it was all about, so what you're saying is, God wants me to do all of these things, and because of that, then I'll get into heaven. And I'm like, no, of course not. And they were just being super defensive because they didn't want to change their way of life and living to
Sure.
what they know they were doing wrong.
Definitely the very thing that I'm talking about here. So we get people that have this stuff. What's that?
I got to blow my nose.
Oh, okay. We get people who are having problems with these areas, and did God really say? One that I use on Christians is that you got the 10 Commandments. Those are commandments on how God is asking us how to live, and nobody really has a problem with the
hashtag 10 things, the 10 suggestions.
10 suggestions.
Hashtag things Jesus never said.
Yeah. People don't have problem with the murder, and most people don't have problem with the murder. Most people don't have problem with the adultery. Most people don't have problem with lying. Most people don't have problem with coveting.
I know. I think lying is very much so becoming more of an issue because of the whole. It's just a white lie.
I would agree. I would agree with that. Okay.
It's not.
And most people don't have problem with the coveting, and most people don't have problem with the stealing. Okay. And I say most because there still is going to be an element of people that are going to argue, well, I mean, is that really coveting? Is that really?
I was going to say coveting is something that has really, especially because of the rise of social media and dissatisfaction of life, has really
There's actually a lot of coveting that goes on. Why do they get it and I don't? That's coveting. Okay. Anyway, but most people don't have a problem with going, I don't think you should live like that. Okay. Let me pull out one that I know a lot of people do. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy.
I feel like I've heard this a couple of times recently.
It is the most difficult one to keep. You know why? Out of all the commandments. Because it's totally on you.
Well,
totally. 100%. Nobody's coming behind you and saying, you're not living it. Right. You're not doing it. Whack. Smack you with a little stick. By the way, the reason why I say that is because that's what they do over in Islam. If you're a Muslim and somebody catches you not doing what you're supposed to be doing, whack. They smack you with a stick.
Excuse you, but why are you doing something on the Sabbath as well? You shouldn't be doing that. He whacks them with a stick and so on and so forth. Anyway, moving right along. Yeah, but the biggest argument I hear for that is, well, what really is the Shabbat? Well, what really is the Sabbath? Oh, they do it on Saturday. Some people do it on Monday. Others do it on Sunday. So how do we really know? Well, then shut up. Take a Sabbath. I don't care which one you do.
Which one?
Just do one. That's the most laziest excuse I've ever heard.
Sure.
Is trying to be so fancy about it.
Well,
so
you're trying to. Did God really say?
And how am I supposed to follow it?
You understand?
These people over here do this, but these people over here do that. And, well, who cares about them? What are you going to do?
Did God really say? See, we're back to that. Satan introduces doubt. So when a person goes, well, you can't really know. Now, what they're really doing is playing trickery and trying to sound so smart with themselves. But the bottom line is that they're bringing in a level of doubt. How can you really know? Because God did. God did say, go read it in His Word.
The only thing I can think about is what you're talking about, Willis. God really did say. That's what it feels like, anyway.
Okay, so that when you read that, and little thought right there to throw it in, read it in His Word. That means you're getting back to the Word of God telling you. which is one of the things that people start losing in all of this. Okay, so
didn't I mention the fact of? No, I didn't. I was thinking it. Instead of when the devil says, "Oh, did he really say," instead of going back and reaffirming it, you just kind of pander off into your own thoughts of, I don't know, because it's a lot easier that way to give you wiggle room with willful ignorance.
Well, here's another thing about humanity that we got to realize.
They suck.
For every human that's out there, there's going to be a way of processing unique to that person. And every way that they process that is unique to them, the processing is built upon relationships that they have had, the way that they've been shaped as a child, the genetics that they have going on with them. There's just so many factors that affect the way that a person processes, and so every person is unique in the way that they process information. Sometimes it's the way that they hear it. They hear a certain word, or when things can escalate, they hear differently. When things drop down low, they hear differently. When things don't sound like they have any energy, because all a part of that is part of the interpretation process that as humans go through. Okay, so when you hear things differently, you process things differently. So therefore, when the serpent comes up and says, did God really say? Now, for him at that point, the serpent, being that he was in the garden area and whatever, and was watching from a distance how Father was dealing with them, he had a little bit better edge than the average person on how Eve was perceiving.
Well, okay. Go back even before
but
then.
Us
when he got
today,
kicked out
hold
of
on,
heaven.
let me hold that thought.
Sorry.
Don't lose
Yeah.
it. Don't lose it.
It's not hard. It's like lightning.
But today, modern day, so many millions of us, so many millions, billions, 9 on this planet.
Yeah.
There's that many different ways that perception can actually be, because everybody has their own footsteps and methods and influences on their interpretation of what's going on. Okay, what were you saying?
No, sorry. Well, I mean, talk about him having an edge of how he would entice Adam and Eve, or specifically Eve, and the edge that he has. Remember, it is also said in the account that he, what did he say, convinced a third of all the other angels.
Prior to this,
prior to a mutiny against heaven, I guess you could say like that. And it just absolutely bizarre. So if you can, a person, talk about a silver tongue, to cause a mutiny of a third of the angels that literally seen and served God themselves
in heaven,
convinced them to mutiny, and all of them got kicked out of heaven. Honestly, I still can't. That is probably the most toxic relationship ever. And it's like, and we'll all go down together.
Yeah. Okay, so
bizarre.
So here we are. We've worked through this one part of the problem, and maybe not sufficiently enough, but we're trying to frame how we're going to deal with the question, and we haven't even gotten to the main thing yet. We've gotten with the fall. And you may say, well, what does the fall have to do with anything? Well, the fall creates the separation. Because there is a separation between man and God. I mean, a physical separation. God used to come down in the cool of every evening and spend time with his kids, Adam and Eve.
I wish the evening was a little more cool. It's not very cool this evening.
Oh, this evening.
This evening, no.
And he would do that, and so you had that automatic relationship that was there. Sin comes in, boom, it separates it.
Now,
Now, there needs to be, I say, okay, that may be challenged words. There's now a gap, a void
Yeah.
between man and God. And God keeps coming down and revealing himself to man, but the idea is to see me as your God. Please see me as your God. Love me as your God. Worship me as your God. Have a relationship with me as your God.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, Satan said, well, the problem is God knows that you will become like him. So from the time of Eve through, we start getting this thing where man more and more wants to be like God. So, you talk about this thing about Eve going, at that exact moment, did she really process it and go, yeah, I want to be like God? Or did it just put in enough of a doubt to get her to just be disobedient? Don't know. But I do know the thousands.
I do know it worked.
I do know that thousands of years later, as it come down the line, yes, it is people who have thought about it and said, yeah, I want to be like God. That is the whole thing.
I don't want any more responsibility than I already have.
Well, to be godlike, let's examine this for a second.
Oh gosh, I don't even think I could. Not in the full encompassing of it. Even just trying.
Yeah, you can. Let's just take the words of Satan in the garden.
Well, I can't. Well, I was going to say to properly perceive the supposed godhood and all of its power and its encompassing it, and its omnipotence, omniscience, and all of it, and all of its in entirety.
Okay.
I wouldn't know where to begin to try and process potentially being like that.
You're bringing up one of the major things. Hebrews 11:6.
Okay.
All right. For without faith, it is impossible to please God, for you must believe that God exists, and that he is a diligent...
Do you want me
no,
to
that he is a... Yeah, go ahead, bring it up. Hebrews 11:6.
Yeah, I can do that. I can try. I don't know if you're understanding. To me being that, not trying to understand it just in general.
Different mindset. When you're of the mindset that God exists, then you're...
That's funny.
Okay.
And pretty funny. Anyway.
When you're dealing with, and that's why so many people, when you talk about humanism, people want to talk about atheism.
Yeah.
There is no God. And we'll get to how that goes into that thinking here in just a minute, or a few minutes down the road. But let's just stick with this one. That you got to believe that God exists. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Go ahead.
Like, you were watching me.
No, actually, I was not.
Oh. It was by faith that Enoch was taken up into heaven without dying. He disappeared because God took him. For before he was taken up, he was known as a person who pleased God. And it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him.
Okay. See how that God exists?
Yeah.
And you go, isn't that kind of Captain Obvious? How are you going to come to God and if you don't believe that God exists? Interesting, because I'm getting ready to show you how sometimes we're there. We're there. That people want to come to God because it's novel, because of a lot of other things. But when it comes to giving God their whole heart, when you believe that God exists, that means he is real. That means he is in a way, if he exists, he's tangible.
Hang on. I think an easier way to sum up what I think you're trying to say, which wasn't what I was trying to say. I think I don't know where we got off onto separate
No,
statements.
You were talking about people believing in God.
No, I wasn't.
Something of that. Anyway,
No, I wasn't.
do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Go back to it then.
No, I like where you're going with it. It just wasn't where I was going. What you're talking about more is religious fanatics that they want to believe in something, but they don't actually put their faith and whole heart into believing God. They just want to believe in something. They just want the object, and a lot of times people do it as Mother Nature is one of the people to do it, because they don't want to.
Whoa! Back up. Mother Nature.
Yeah, hippies and all of that, peace, love, and...
Okay, because there is no such thing as Mother Nature.
No, that's what I'm saying is they want to put their faith in something, a religious nut, but they don't want to acknowledge a true deity like God, because then that would have to kind of bring about a little bit more truth. It would shatter their delusion. So they choose things like Father Time and Mother Nature and fate and all of those different
yin yang.
Yeah, those
Easter Bunny. I never know what the Easter Bunny's ever done for anybody. So anyway.
Confused people that rabbits.
Santa Claus, though.
Oh yeah, Santa Claus, absolutely. Did you know because of the Easter Bunny, a lot of people think that rabbits lay eggs.
Scientific method.
I'm not joking you.
Let's go down.
There are so many people that I've heard.
Doesn't the rabbit?
By the way, they're all blondes, females that I've seen.
Doesn't the rabbit identify as a?
Please don't go there.
I'm trying to think of the one that can move its nose independently, because that's rabbits in that group.
No, that's a lagomorph because they have the split lip.
Not the lagomorph, no, but because of the way the rabbit can move its nose, it's in its own group, and I can't think of what it's called.
Anyway, the only joke that I could think of is yes. I'm not gonna make that joke. We're gonna just tell me to remember it later.
Okay, tell me off the microphone. So anyway,
okay. I added an addendum to the joke. I identify as a she-can. Yeah, what's that? It's the rabbit, you know.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
So, that gap is happening that we talked about, because between God and man, there's a gap. And then man is always going to try to fill that gap. And when you already have a nature that says me, okay, I'm number one, I'm first, which, by the way, I remember a little cartoon made me laugh when I was like in the 5th, 6th grade. Had this book by, I forget who the author was, but the characters in the book were Eek and Meek.
Okay.
2 stick-drawn mice. Okay. Anyway, they had an uncle. And Eek comes in, and his uncle says, remember, Eek, when you grow up, remember number one. Remember who got you to where you're going. Remember to take care of them, because no one else will. And Eek says, so you mean when I grow up, I need to remember to take care of myself? And he goes, no. The uncle says, I'm number one.
Yeah. Was waiting for that to happen.
So, that's exactly humanism. Humanism leads to trying to believe that there is no God.
Selfish nature.
Me, I believe in me. Yeah, I
Don't
I
follow
am
in my
me.
foot. Don't follow after me. I run into walls. Why should I believe in myself? I got myself in this mess in the first place. I'm gonna believe in Jesus.
Yeah, okay, but humanism says I'm number one. I can do it. And in fact, let's see if we can identify some things that are humanistic that the church has picked up.
Good luck.
I'm not sure where that's humanistic.
And second time's a charm?
I don't know where that's humanistic.
I mean, I could.
I know
I can in a very convoluted way bring it around to being humanistic.
That's where Paul was talking about, don't believing in old wives' tales. That would follow into those.
Or I was going to say, a lot of people don't realize that those different charms, curses, and all of that are actually of witchcraft and the demonic power, and they just think of it as ways that they can use it to try and... Well, the biggest one is don't worry, you got this. No, I don't. Jesus has got this.
Okay, that's humanistic. You nailed one right there. I've got this. And a lot of people are starting to do better nowadays. I hear them say that, God's got this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's what we need to do, is to bring it into... bring phrases in that help us change our mind.
If you just believe,
it says in Romans, as it says in Romans 12, that we're to show God and follow God by the renewing of our mind, so that we can prove His good, perfect, and acceptable will.
It is not a humanistic phrase, but it is a huge humanistic movement, and it all started with self-love and self-forgiveness.
Okay.
And all of that has been tumbling out, and there's entire beauty product lines, self-care lines, literal pillow sheets, bed sheets. There are exercise machines and all of that based off of self-care and self-love and taking care of yourself and treating and there's entire food product lines about giving yourself the treat that you deserve after, with self-love and forgiveness and all of that. And there's been hundreds of them, and I've honestly stopped paying attention to them, because when it first started coming out, it's kind of like, okay, sure, whatever, bizarre, weird. There's even feminine hygiene products that come out with, for when those tough days that you just need to get through it. Bizarre things, really. There's nothing ad campaigns won't target. Not if they see a potential profit from it, that's for sure. But there's, I could go on. There's probably just about every single type of, except maybe camping or fishing or guns. I don't think I've ever seen...
You've lost me on those three subjects. I don't know what's going through your mind. You got to share.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think almost every single subject that you can think of, there's probably an ad campaign or line product launched with the whole self-love, self-respect kind of...
I know there is with camping. Haven't you ever seen those ones where the campers are up in the morning with a cup of coffee watching sunrise? And instead of giving praise to God, they're going, draw inspiration for your day from here.
Oh, okay, I guess so, yeah. But, like guns, fishing...
I don't know. Guns just make you feel awesome.
It's true.
They're powerful.
It's true. By the way, I will ask you later, but did you hear the Big Bang last night? The two Big Bangs?
Nah, it's just a theory.
Oh. Did you hear the two big kabooms?
I think your mother did, because she comes running out, and I'm like, what?
They were massive! Shook the cabin! And they were just a couple houses over.
She said she heard it. I'm
blissfully unaware. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah. I just kind of went, huh.
That's how I'm going to go someday.
That's fine. I'm going to be like, huh. They sound like they're having fun. Packed quite a punch, too. Anyway.
Yeah.
But like guns, most weapons, those kinds of things... I don't think I've ever seen a bunch of drug addicts come out with a product line saying, your self-love and respect, here, try fentanyl. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. Hopefully. I said hopefully. Give it another 10, 15 years. We'll see.
No, not on that, but have you ever seen the commercials on Narcan?
No, and I don't plan on it.
Okay, I have.
I'm not their targeted demographic.
And not either, but, you got this person and everybody's in this room and everybody's just having a great time. All of a sudden, the guy falls down on the floor and she helps him out and she says, I'm glad I had Narcan. And then all of a sudden, you walk away and you're going, well, what was everybody in that room doing? They just introduce a room and it seems like everybody's having fun. Actually, everybody was doing drugs in the room, and she was in the room, and this makes her a sane person because she's in with them and she had to have Narcan on her. I mean, but the whole point was to love people. I love people. That's a part of humanism. What those people really needed in that room was Jesus.
And the cops. That would have definitely helped as well.
Jesus can get a lot more places than cops ever can.
Yeah.
So, but because of love of self, that's the whole reason why a person does illegal drugs like that. And I know I'm going to people are going to be angry with that statement. No, that's not why they do drugs. They're addicted. Well, they had to do drugs first before they got addicted.
They were seeking to fill something that can only be filled by the
void of not having God. Mm-hmm.
That can only be filled, is what I said.
Right. I took the opposite.
Yeah,
it's from
by
a
having
void.
a right relationship with the Creator.
Yep.
And
that's right.
You think, oh my God, no, oh my goodness, they only had they had no other choice but to turn to drugs. There's always a choice.
There's
just
always
because
a
it
choice
wasn't
made.
Look, just because the other choices they had were way harder doesn't mean there wasn't a choice.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a choice.
So you get into the situation where, Narcan, they're doing the drugs, and what are they doing? They're satisfying themselves. They want to. And it's a hard thing to overcome drug use. I totally get that.
Any addiction, and especially chemical addiction.
And I also have, somebody's going to say, yeah, but you really don't know. I have a personal, I'm not going to share the story, but I have personal knowledge. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay? Which is also going to tell me to bring up one other thing. There are small case scenarios where a doctor may have gotten a person addicted to drugs. Mm-hmm. Or somebody else got somebody addicted to drugs. That can happen. It has happened. And for those people, life's a little different in their sympathy. But if you were to take all of those people, man, we could put together a drug rehab problem and totally pay for it out of our own pockets and get that done. But there are so many that have done it to themselves that it entirely outweighs those incidents where people developed an addiction due to a third party.
Right, and they all need help.
And they all need help.
And that's not what we're arguing.
Correct.
It's the fact that they're preying on their addiction in the sense of humanism to try and help them.
I want what I want.
So bad. And you know that it's easier to give them Narcan, and it's cheaper than trying to put them through rehab, because there's not a guarantee that all of them would want to be rehabilitated. And so,
that's true.
Instead of actually fixing the problem, they're just covering up the problem by giving a supposed, not really a fix-all, but a supposed fix-all to it. Save a life, have Narcan.
Yeah. So
we're
further
shouldn't be in those situations anyway.
Right. So it's all about fulfilling our desires. Now, if we were to go to Galatians, now notice we've been throwing out Bible.
No, you have. I haven't.
Okay. If you were to go to Galatians, do that for us.
I think Galatia is a bit far away, but I can try.
Okay. Well, let's just draw up the book then.
Okay. 4, 5, 3.
I think it's 5.
Okay. Power, spirit?
Yeah, but it's going to tell us what the sins of the flesh are first.
That's 19.
Okay.
And 21. 19 to 21.
And every one of these, because it's fighting our flesh is what so gets us that we our flesh wants to take the place of God.
Look, you ever look at a person and you just go, man, why can't they be a better person? 'Cause they need Jesus.
Right. So let's take a look at everything that is listed there. And I don't believe this to be an exhaustible list. I think there's probably more that could be written down and get a little bit more
In depth.
specific. Specific, I think is the word I'm after. And but there's a level of depth there. I think I understand why you said that. But we want but just to list it out. And if you could just read 19. So, but when you are directed by the Spirit, you're not under obligation to the law of Moses. Go ahead, verse 19 through 21.
When you follow the desires of your sinful nature, the results are very clear. Sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, idolatry, sorcery, hostility, quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, selfish ambition, dissension, division, envy, drunkenness, wild parties, and other sins like these. See, even he's like, and others, etc., etc.
Yeah. So I didn't pick that up before, but so yeah, this list is not exhaustible. Inexhaustible.
Let me tell you again, as I have before, that anyone living that sort of life will not inherit the kingdom of God.
So every one of these is ourselves, and these are sinful things, and people who practice these will not inherit the kingdom of God. That includes people who call themselves Christians. Sorry I had to say that.
No, it's fine. I'm fine with it. So there's a really popular other channels on YouTube that like to use a certain phrase. And I think it's more or less one specific channel, but I think I've seen like 2 or 3 of them do it. 8 habits, 17 types of Christians that aren't going to heaven. 8 habits that Christians claim that they're gonna take them to hell. Different types of things. And every time me and Dad just stare at each other and we just go, oh yes, then they weren't
Christian
to begin with. Sorry, I would be yelling it, but my voice is...
Don't.
Yeah.
You're both of us were getting weaker and weaker as we get into this. So you're going, so where's the humanism in this? You worshiping yourself when you say, I want to satisfy myself, even though God says don't do these things. Sexual immorality. Okay, she's fine, she's hot, nobody's going to know. Quarreling, there's one. How does quarreling seem to be of it? Because
Dissension.
I want to win my arguments so bad.
Hostility is one that jealousy, outbursts of anger, dissension and division, all of those right there. Think of anything in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. And when you have that, tell me, where's the love?
What's love got to do with it?
How? Well, love's got to do with it, because if you're a Christian, God's love is in you. If you're a Christian.
Right.
So, but people who practice these things, sorry, you obviously are not showing God's love. So
people say that it's a dog-eat-dog world. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. But because of sin, it is.
Okay. So when you want to get even with somebody, vengeance.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's God in that? When you want to strike back and literally wound somebody, where's God in that? So we have all these different things that are going on. When you want the lascivious party and you think that is that's oh man, I am going to party. Where's God in that? Where's his holiness? Where's godliness and all that? So here's we finally come down to the other side. So we've taken a look that there's a gap, and we end up filling that gap because we want to satisfy ourselves. Because if we were to close the gap and say, no, I want to satisfy God, then who did we just pull into that gap?
The correct shape.
The correct shape that's supposed to fill that gap. But where there's that gap and we go, no, I got to learn to love me. I got to learn to take care of me. I'm number one. I need to work enough. I want to be the person that I want to be, so I have the money so that I can do these things. Then it's all about me. I always wonder about guys whose kids don't have anything to do with them. I had that one time. I remember a young man. I was with the family. I was a teenager at the time that his older teenage stepbrother, really wasn't his brother, it was his uncle by actual relationship, but he considered him a stepbrother. He was older than him, had him by like 14 years, 15 years, but because he had run into a drug problem in Chicago, he had asked his sister and brother-in-law to take him in because he was way years after them. He was born literally 20 years after them. And they said, would you take him in? And because I don't have anywhere to keep him out of trouble in this major city, and he's getting into drugs. And he also showed me a scar on his back one time. We were playing basketball, whatever. He took his shirt off, and I looked on his back, and I mean a wicked scar right at his kidney. And I said, man, who got you there? He goes, I got stabbed with a knife there in a
Tried to take my kidneys.
Yeah. And it was a pretty wicked scar. And so anyway, now his nephew, or his younger stepbrother, was in my youth group when I was a youth pastor. And I happened to be out one time, and we were shooting some basketball or whatever. And I was telling about a time that his uncle and I were running around, and we were doing things, and man, did the young man's dad get so angry at his stepbrother. His stepbrother even told me. He slapped him so hard he knocked him across the table. Okay. And the young man said to me, man, my dad never treated me like that. And I stopped and I said, well, be thankful. He goes, no, I mean, I just never think my dad loved me enough to ever treat me like that.
To be willing to reprimand me because you care for me?
Mm-hmm. Because he too had gotten into drugs, and his dad never really did anything for him. What a difference, right?
Mm-hmm. Perspective. Oh, yeah, perception. Let's go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And he just, and maybe his words, if I remember right, his words were, I wished my dad would have treated me like that. But however it was, I knew that he longed for his dad to have loved him enough to have reprimanded him.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. Didn't mean for that conversation to go that direction. And I don't know if I said it or not, but when we, he's like, you got any more stories? He wanted to hear more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to glorify what your stepbrother did, because that was wrong, man. I said, and yeah, just kind of moved on from there. But that's the things that happen. So when we fill that space.
Well, okay. You say fill, but try to crudely shove something in there that doesn't belong.
Yeah, we're trying to fill it. Unless we put God, as you said, the only thing that fits is God. So when you try to put anything else in there, the first thing is it doesn't fit.
Well, it is a giant chasm that only God can fill. Anything else just gets lost into the depths of it.
Right.
So, just to you may seem like I'm going to the extreme, but when you put it in the consequences of life and death and eternity and suffering,
then we don't put it extreme enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I see where you're going.
Well, some people don't like to take it that harsh because they don't want to deal with it because they want.
It is.
They'd rather be coddled. Yeah.
It is life and death.
It
is life and death. So we don't have the right thing in there, and when we don't have the right thing in there, do you know what man does when we don't fill it with the right thing? We fill it with the wrong thing.
Sexual immorality, impurity, lustful pleasures, idolatry.
With us, right. So we run into all this. No, you're exactly right. Yeah. And we fill it with all that sin. Now we have all that sin. Now we got one or two things that we can make a decision on. I chose everything I did because I wanted it. Am I going to call what I did a sin? Because one of the problems about serving the self also means I elevate myself above
God.
What
do you think? More than just the self-love, but self-forgiveness is such a big campaign that's come out with it as well.
You know, I first, are you gonna blow your nose? I'll mute you.
No.
All right. I first bit into this. Oh, we have to learn to forgive ourselves because of how good it sounds. Sounds good. It also sounds something what I like.
I was gonna say it sounds so
satisfies me. Right?
Okay.
Right? You see what we're getting at.
I didn't like the self-forgiveness half of it. I preferred the self-love and the treating oneself nicely. I never liked the self-forgiveness of it because it just sounded too pretentious. Personally.
Well, when you see people that beat themselves down and other ones say, oh man, you just got to learn to forgive yourself. That sounds logical. But if forgiveness is what you're seeking, you need to seek forgiveness from somebody who has the authority to forgive. Now, you have the authority to forgive, but do you have
Not yourself?
That's right where I was going. Do you have the authority to forgive you? For if I need forgiveness, the Bible clearly teaches that we got to go and seek forgiveness from God. Who can forgive us?
Yes, God can forgive us.
Yes, he can. And if God can be forgiveness, but we move him out of the way and say, no, let me forgive myself. First problem is, did we receive forgiveness from God then? No, we did not receive from who we needed to be forgiven if we're forgiving ourselves.
Right.
Problem number one. Somebody says, well, you asked God, but you're still carrying around guilt. That's the reason why you need to seek forgiveness. Well, no. Either God forgave you or you did not receive his forgiveness.
What? You mean I can ask and not actually get forgiveness?
Well, it's really funny here. But as Protestants, evangelicals, we get that name because, and then those of us that are in the Methodist line, we get that name because we have a method to salvation. And real simple, 4 parts to our salvation. You ready? 4 parts.
Yeah.
Confess, repent, believe, receive. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
And I understand it's difficult to receive, but that means that a person did not receive forgiveness from Jesus Christ. When you receive his forgiveness, and by the way, who else needs to forgive you? Because once I know I'm forgiven by the God of all creation, do you realize how puny forgiving myself is?
it's more than just laughable, it's detestable almost.
It is
It's
detestable.
very detestable, but you also got to realize it is not incumbent upon you that others forgive you, but it is incumbent that you forgive others. Because it is between them and God if they forgive you.
Right.
But if God has forgiven you and then you have forgiven others, then you are good.
But people are carrying around guilt because they haven't received from God.
Right.
And you will hear some humanistic psychology psychobabble say, oh, you need to learn to forgive yourself.
It's ridiculous. But
what?
I was also going to say, another reason why it's, oh, I asked God to forgive me, so he better darn well. That's another type of attitude, is I expect forgiveness from
Well, that's
him.
an attitude, and you know it's always hard to judge people's attitudes.
Right. What I'm saying
that's between them and God, although we can see the fruit of it.
What I'm saying is that there's more than one scenario. Get back in screen.
Well, I am in screen.
You're not centered.
Oh, you say get back in screen. I am in screen. I may not be centered, but
There you go.
I am in screen.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let me hide. Finish talking.
Yeah. I don't. What was I saying? It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, it is. People who are arrogant and saying, I deserve to be forgiven.
Yeah. What I was going to say is there's just more than one way where you can go and ask for forgiveness from God and not actually receive it. Is because, are you truly asking for forgiveness? And it comes down to, are you humbling yourself? Humility. I'm going to bring over the definition that the humility, not humidity, but humility.
Well, that's what I was getting at with and you told me you thought my scripture was a little off. What's the first thing that has to happen in Hebrews 11 to believe that God exists?
Oh, you were off from what I was saying. I wasn't saying anything about that. That's where you were going. I agree. This is going, though.
This is the big part of it. Is that it requires humility.
The quality of having a modest and accurate view of one's own importance.
Isn't that humanistic?
Unless it's true humility of understanding that I'm worth nothing. It involves being free from pride or arrogance, acknowledging your limitations and mistakes, and recognizing the value of others.
Okay. And the only thing that makes that humanistic is because I recognize me.
Yeah.
In that whole first part, humility is recognizing the value of God.
I'm gonna go look up.
See, when you recognize the value of God, where does that automatically put us? He is greater. I am less, and I am okay with this.
Right. Humble, having a modest, respectful view of one's own importance and lack of arrogance.
Okay. But even that
it's still
humanistic because, and this is where our study for today, why every time when you go to read about humanism, it usually is aligned with what's the word? Don't believe in God? Atheism.
You mean don't believe that there is a God?
Is a God.
Okay.
It aligns. So humanism is usually the opposite of atheism. Nope. Is in line with atheism.
But it's just saying that there is no God.
Because
there's a couple different types.
Because
of
when I believe in myself, so that means that somewhere in the Bible, it teaches that I am nothing and God is everything.
Okay, what is the biblical definition of humble?
Okay, let's find a place where it's used in the Bible.
Well, I'm reading what this is giving me, so then I would like to then see what Blue Letter Bible has on it as well. But this says, as you can see up here, is the psychological normal one, blah blah blah, dictionary.com. But here's the biblical, I'm using air quotes for those who can't see, the definition. Biblical humility is a heart attitude of lowliness of mind, characterized by recognizing one's complete dependence on God, disregarding personal rank or selfish ambition, and serving others. It is not thinking less of oneself or inferiority, but rather thinking of oneself less. But, let's see.
Or thinking of God as being superior.
Right. So, common misconceptions. Biblical humility is not having a low opinion of oneself, false modesty, or letting others walk over you. Instead, it's a powerful confidence in God that removes the need of self-promotion.
See who God is. It is the understanding of who God is. That is why in Hebrews 11 is that you must believe that he exists.
Yeah.
Okay. That existence means I know who God is.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, it brings us the understanding we're being humble in that situation. And when we're humble, that means it's not about us. So he, in a way, just in a way, in reality, Hebrews 11 doesn't say the word at all, but the concept of self-love and so forth that's what it's talking about there. No, we're fixed on God. He is supreme in loving him. And we remember, what are the two greatest commandments?
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Wait a minute, where am I in there? How come I'm not in there?
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Oh, as myself?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I am in there just a little bit, but you'd also put my neighbor before me. Love my neighbor was listed first.
Yeah.
As yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
It's because by nature, you're going to love yourself. That's just by nature. So you know what you need to do? Focus on other people and focus on God. You'll come natural to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll come natural. Love the other two. Focus on loving the other two. But I want to love me. You know what? I want to focus on me. And when I focus on me, I move God out of the picture.
That's how it usually works. Because when you focus on oneself, you become super, what's that called? Selfish?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Who is in my mind during all that time? Him. So therefore, I'm underneath where he can lead me. When I am on my mind, I guarantee you I am not in the shadow of the Almighty. How do I live in that place? Well, let's see. Do you still have Galatians up?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's Galatians chapter 2.
Okay. I guess. Sorry.
Well, that's all right. You can pull it over on the other screen so everybody can see how you're getting there.
I could, but then you don't like me flipping through it so fast.
Just go no slow.
The apostles accept Paul. Yay! Paul confronts Peter.
Uh-huh.
And footnotes.
Let's see. Yeah. So it's verse 20, but read the whole last paragraph then, so we try to keep it in context.
But suppose we seek to be made right with God through faith in Christ, and then we are found guilty because we have abandoned the law. Would that mean Christ has led us into sin? Absolutely not. Rather, I am a sinner. If I rebuild the old system of law I already tore down, I'm
a sinner if I rebuild the old system of law.
Oh. Rather, I am a sinner if I rebuild the old system of law I already tore down.
Yep.
For when I tried to keep the law, it condemned me. So I died to the law. I stopped trying to meet all its requirements so that I might live for God. My old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not treat the grace of God, as meaningless, for if keeping the law could make us right with God, then there was no need for Christ to die.
But in verse 20, my old self has been crucified. Oh, you mean myself has to die? See, if self continues to live, it will always be at war with who?
Christ.
With Christ. So it has to die. Why? So that I can allow Christ to live in me. So that Christ is seen. That's the way that it works. It doesn't work if I allow the old me to keep living and then I have to keep warring with Christ. Pretty soon, Christ is going to leave. He will not war with me.
But if you
He comes
want help
into
from him,
he comes into fellowship with me, not to war with me. And if I can't put my old self to death, then that old self will. Did God really say?
Yeah.
And we're all back to that. And then we start neglecting or negating the very things that God said in his word. God said, you know what? Remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy.
And
well, did God really say we had to take naps on Sabbath? No, he didn't. Did God really say we had... Do I have to go to church to be a Christian? Well, no. But if you're a Christian, you go to church. No, that's not what I asked. Did I have to be... Do I have to go to church to be a Christian?
No, there's a picture. If I'm a Christian and I don't need the church was a picture. It's a lion. It's a zebra being chased by a lion with an entire herd of zebras behind them, just watching them. You know, it's
but you gotta know your biology. What does the herd do?
The herd protects one another.
And specifically for zebras, it's about the stripe. Other animals, when they see that great big huge thing of stripes right there, they can't
confuses them.
Confuses them. They can't determine one animal for the other.
And so,
but if you step out one,
yeah.
Oh, there's one right there.
Oh, got some stripes on you, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and everybody thinks, oh, this is so daunting, especially when you go through the big long list of people, ad campaigns, and things that are constantly trying to tell you to put yourself first, to just do it and, you know, get it done, and you can do this, and believe in yourself, and forgive yourself, and all of those different things. You go, oh, it's so overwhelming because, like I said, if you're not careful and you constantly are inundated with it, then it gets a way of worming into your head, and you start picking up those habits, and you start adopting those habits. And you're like, oh, well, how do I combat that? Well, easy. Just don't pay attention to it. Don't listen to it. Don't be where it is. And do you know where it's not? I just was about to do something, and I was about to just cough into the mic so poorly. I was pull a John Panette, get out of the line, but it's in God's Word.
It's in God's Word.
It's in God's Word.
It is.
Where do you think you should be? In Him. And where is He? He is His Word.
So,
and the Word was God, and the Word is God.
Yeah. So we get these things that's why you see a lot of people who proclaim to be atheists, because they want their sin and they want to be able to do it their way, and they don't want to feel guilty. But then we take these other things like saying forgive yourself, and we bring it into the church, and we go, oh wow, I'm still experiencing.
The youth of today will really resonate with this.
I still feel guilty about this, and I still feel guilty. Oh, you just need to forgive yourself. Well, you just took the place where you can get the greatest help, and you short-circuited and gave it to a mortal man.
Oh, I still feel guilty. Then get back to that altar.
Get back to the altar. You received what Christ wants from you. Maybe you haven't received it. Maybe you need to be obedient to something God wants you to do.
Right.
And that's why you're not receiving the grace and the help that you need. So lots of facets to it, but the one thing it is not is humanistically forgiving yourself. There's all these other things that get involved about, and this totally tears up a church. You know what? Usually if you want something done,
do it yourself.
Boom! You know the saying. That's not how God expects his family to work. That's not how God expects his church to work.
Yeah.
God expects his church to work together. I know lots of people that burn out. Remember the episode we did on burning out? Mm. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength.
Right.
Okay. But it's a way to burn out. You know what? If it's going to get done, I'll just do it myself. Did you wait on the Lord? Is that God's way? No, God says, hey, get one of your brothers and sisters over there and say, can you help me? Oh, man, but do you realize what I got to do that? I got to humble myself.
Yeah. So this is more for Gen Z and Gen Alpha.
Whoa, another generation already?
Yeah, we've talked about this. Whatever. Anyway. So, specifically Gen Z, about constantly consuming and constantly doing it. And I don't know, I struggle with it as well sometimes because I want to do what I want to do. And a lot of times it makes you a bit lazy and, well, I should have probably washed those dishes instead of continued reading what I was reading. Put the book down kind of thing. It's okay. Just do it kind of thing. And put it for another one is you need to read scripture. You need to spend time with God. You need to stop and you need to do it. And it's like, well, yeah, I know I need to do it. And I know I like doing it. But currently I don't want to do that because I want to finish reading the story that I'm reading. And I mean, it kind of is boring sometimes. I'd rather do something that's more fun, like, listen to music, go do something else. And that's the slowly but surely then you consume other media that is not what you should be consuming. Mm-hmm. Back to that. And then you sit there and you go, oh, I really should be reading the Bible or spending time with God because I'm supposed to not consume all this media. But I really don't want to spend time with God. And it's just kind of boring. And I understand that, and that's what you get through. The thing is when you finally do knuckle down and buckle down and you do it, you stop and you realize, oh, it's already been 3 hours. Cool. I didn't expect this to go. Because when you actually get into it and you actually start doing it and you don't have a mind of doing it because of obligation, or even if you do start out doing it because it's like, oh, well, I'm obligated to do it, so I'm going to do it. When you actually start getting into it, even if you're starting it out being obligated that you think you have to do it, it becomes such a joy to do it, and it becomes so refreshing to do it, because when you truly get in and start spending time with God, it becomes easier, and it becomes a better habit, and you get so much more out of certain things. And even if you feel, what I'm saying is you may feel guilty now for not doing it, but then you do it because you feel guilty and it's out of obligation, it can still become the best time of your life, spending it, and it helps you, it heals you. Not only do you have fun, but you stop thinking of it as an obligation, and you look at it and you think of it as, I'm being fulfilled spiritually, something that a 7-second video could never do.
Yeah. So as we wrap this up, I think this is a good spot to wrap it up. Here's some things that, in taking notes, that I've come away with. So
you were taking notes?
Yeah.
Dang, you're good.
Well, here, but I'm taking notes. And And when I would say, so, okay, I'm going to get ready to put this together. And after the couple of hours that we've just spent here, hopefully our listening audience can go, oh, this is the kind of discussion that you have before you even write your notes. Yeah, we're framing the question.
No, I think...
No.
I'm going to be honest. There's actually a lot more yelling, usually.
Um,
I hold myself back a lot due to calling everyone idiots and dumb. I curb that. But most of the time I yell a lot about that.
Because of people who frustrate her.
They're very frustrating because at the same time you look at them and go, not only are you so nonsensical, but you're stuck in your own delusion willingly.
And every once in a while, people, she even names names. Just saying.
It's been a while. I don't remember anybody recently.
No, but if somebody's foot fits the slipper, you don't mind saying who it is.
Not online, though. I do curb a lot of that.
That's why I said when we're doing it, I was liking it to when you're saying, you yell a lot and whatever, and you name names.
That's just for the joke.
But let's so one thing that I notice is that, number one, we need to be... I would work really hard when I go to put this together. The very first thing that I would do is, in framing the question, is to note that there is a difference between this type of thing inside the church and outside of the church.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a humanism inside of the church, and there is a secular humanism outside of the church that is trying to come in. We want to recognize that. In framing the question, I would say specifically which one we are going to deal with. Those two by itself are too huge to try to tackle. And the one that would be most important to me, because our audience is an audience that's trying to serve God, so I would go with in the church. How humanism is coming into the church. And that would be the reason why I would select that one. I would work, as we took a lot of time, it took a lot of time to define humanism. I don't know if anybody saw that or not. So I would definitely take the time to work with a very specific definition, because remember, we got to kind of keep this narrow so that we can get through it in 2.5 hours, which ends up turning into being 3. But we've got to get through it because it's so broad. And then I would liken to give areas where we think that it has come into the church with certain phrases that have been said. Forgive yourself. Need to love yourself. You need to take care of yourself and nourish yourself. You need to all the other things that if you don't do this, then you're not loving yourself, and you need to take time for yourself. And in a way, all of those things are true, yet you got to take them out of the self-love category and put them in, no, I need to take care of me for my kids. I need to take care of me so that I can do God's will. If I am destroying my body, if I'm not participating in good health, I'm not a tool for God. See how it's about God? It's not about me, and yet it's for me. So then I would work on putting it in there, and then I would take a look at the scriptures, keeping them very, very much in context about those particular teachings, how they are not of God. And last but not least, I would pull together how humanism is related to atheism.
Oh, there's like to actually get into atheism. I guess I'm speaking like this now. Oh my goodness.
No snorting. I heard that.
I'm losing it, man. I'm losing it.
Yeah.
There's so many different parts of atheism, and there's so many different types of atheists. The only common denominator is that they want to refute there being a creator or a God.
You refute it. Actually, the common denominator, they have another, because you're right about that. That is a common denominator.
Well, I feel like...
And that is they want to be, and this is right with humanism, they want to be greater than God or be the God of their life.
I guess that's...
That's actually the main thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to be the God of their life.
If you want to get to the bare roots of it, but I would still think that there are very few that would also... Truly very few that would get together and be the whole nature hippie type thing where it's I am not in control, everything else is, I just go along with the flow of nature and all that. And that's why I say there's very few that actually hold to that.
That's Buddhism, so.
Right. Most of the time, even if they try to obtain that way of thinking, the sin would still be self-gratification if you're just masquerading it as
the God
that.
of my life.
Yeah, even if there are just masquerading it like that. So. Yeah.
And so that's what we would get to, and you would say, well, isn't the whole point of being a Christian is, Jesus is Lord of your life? And as we had mentioned earlier in working through all this, is that there are those that are in the church that say Jesus is Lord of their life, but take a step back and watch how they act.
Yeah. How they conduct themselves.
And they will have some of these humanistic phrases that they hang on. Why? Because Jesus isn't Lord of their life.
And they won't see it as a problem either, which is very sad. So.
No. So that's in framing the question today. That's what we spend all of our time on how to do, and that's how I would end up framing this question about what is humanism. I would give us the definition for everybody, but in framing our study for today, we're going to look at humanism as how it is still acted in the church. And of course, the main thing is, I think I would wind up is, should humanism even be in our church? But you got to ask these questions, and I think that's how I would end it.
Look, we know how humanism is in the church is because the devil has a playbook. The playbook is, there's still things that he's pulling on us back from the beginning of history. Did
God really say?
And the reason why he's still using it is because it's
obviously it's
useful.
Effective.
It's still effective.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Why? Because we all have our human nature. Yeah.
I can't yell it, so I'm going to whisper it. People suck. That's why. No, my voice is about to give out.
That means it's time for us to go, everybody. Thank you for being with us. And, hey, pray for us. Pray that we'll get better. I still got to speak on Sunday. And pray for our support. I'd really appreciate it. Share this. I've noticed that actually our podcast doesn't seem to be getting out there very well. Help us to get it out there. And I think there's other people that really need this and so forth. And if you can help support us once again, that would honestly be great. I would love to see the day where there's 10,000, maybe 25,000, and they're picking up on this and so forth. Notice I'm not super crazy like those guys that run 10 million. Actually, there's a couple people you listen to that are more than 10 million, aren't they? Oh, I can't think of his name. Used to be from Cincinnati. What's his name? If you don't want to say it, that's fine.
Just subscribers or listeners?
Subscribers.
Okay. Yeah. He's at 58 million?
58 million. See?
That's subscribers.
Just 24,000, that would be cool. I mean, yeah, I'll take as many as the Lord gives us, but just help us to get out there because this is the kind of stuff that sets people free.
If you didn't catch, it's the word. The word.
It's God's word.
God's word.
God's word is powerful.
I don't know if that has copyright on it.
Yeah, I don't either.
We love you guys.
We love you.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut off from here, go out, get more to drink because we got to drink a lot of water. We got to cool off because it's really hot in this
I was
room.
gonna say hack up our lungs.
And we're gonna cough really hard because we've tried to sustain our coughing, suspend our coughing, and then we're going to take all of our medicines and go to bed. All right, I might get a midnight snack in there somewhere. So, thank you everybody for listening to us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.